Russia collusion, Russia collusion, Russia collusion. That's all we heard for so many years. And now, thanks to the new administration and Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, the tables seem to have turned. That's the topic of today's Bold and Blunt, and I'm your host, Cheryl Chumley, giving you a Christian conservative look at today's news, politics, culture, and events. It's interesting to me how the corporate, mainstream, and Democrat fawning media are framing the documents that Tulsi Gabbard has been dropping lately. And of course, it's all aimed at dinging Trump and dismissing any misdeeds on the part of their favorite president ever, Barack Obama. Gabbard swipes at Obama's response to her MAGA conspiracy. That is a recent headline from the Daily Beast. Not saying that the Daily Beast is any great media outlet, but you can see how these news organizations are bending over backwards to make it seem as if Tulsi Gabbard is off her meds and President Donald Trump is just trying to distract from the Jeffrey Epstein matter. And, by the way, don't you think that if there were something of significance in all the Jeffrey Epstein documents, videos, files, records, what have you, that showed President Trump doing something untoward with Jeffrey Epstein and Jeffrey Epstein's little girls, his gaggle of girls, right? Don't you think if there were something there, that 4 years of President Joe Biden and anti-MAGA and anti-Donald Trump, it would have come out? It would have come out already? I find it curious that now, all of a sudden, these Democrats out there, along with their friends in the media, all of a sudden, Jeffrey Epstein is such an important story. But back when it was the story of the day, right, they were mum on it. Very curious and coincidental. And look, if you don't believe in coincidences, and I don't, it just seems a little bit suspicious, a little bit politicized, or maybe we could say weaponized. Before I get into more of that, I want to quickly mention, if you like Bold and Blunt, you may get Bold and Blunt at edify.app, at Real Life Network. That is the faith-based news arm of Pastor Jack Hibbs's Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills Church in California, where you can get your news, all your news, from a faith-based perspective, from Bible truths, right? Starts with the Bible, then goes to the Constitution. That's kind of what I do here on Bold and Blunt. That's kind of what I do all day long at the Washington Times. When your worldview is Bible first, Constitution second, you can look out there in the dark landscape of news that we're flooded with every day, all day long, and even into the night, and even overnight, 24/7, and you can make sense of it, right? So that's why I like Real Life Network, and that's why I'm very happy and proud to say that Bold and Blunt is part of the Real Life Network lineup. You may also get Bold and Blunt, of course, at WashingtonTimes.com, where if you scroll to the bottom of the page, find the newsletter section, click on it, look around at the offerings on that newsletter page and find Bold and Blunt with Cheryl Chumley. Sign up for it. All you have to do is enter your email address, right? Enter your email address and you will get Monday, Wednesday, and Friday delivered to your email box. My Bold and Blunt newsletter contains my commentaries, contains my audio podcast, contains my video versions of Bold and Blunt that I do semi-infrequently, right? That's to say infrequently. Though I did just do one with Alan West, right? Retired Colonel Alan West, on the link between faith and freedom. And that particular video, Bold and Blunt, is for subscribers only. So if you're not a subscriber, really sign up for it. Sign up for it before that video disappears into the good night, right? Like all videos eventually do. And then you have to do a deep dive search to get it. Right now, it's fresh. It's out there. It's right up there. Easy to find. All you have to do is subscribe. I want to mention also you can get Bold and Blunt wherever podcasts are available. And I'm going to mention as well my latest nonfiction book, God Given or Bust, Defeating Marxism and Saving America with Biblical Truths. Yes, It's out there. It's available. It's on Amazon. It's wherever books are available. Kind of the same as my podcast, right? Wherever podcasts are available. Let's go to the Daily Beast, right? Because, geez, MAGA conspiracy. I love when the media makes up its mind in a headline, right? Before digging in deep, before giving journalists time to peruse documents, fact check documents, hey, even read documents. I love it when the media just makes up their minds that it's a conspiracy, right? How many times have we heard that in the last few years? How many times have we, it's a conspiracy. Conspiracy, that's those crazy nut jobs on the right, that's those MAGA conservatives again. I mean, anything that Donald Trump said from 2015 till today, right, is pretty much chalked up as a conspiracy, even as he is being proven true and correct and truthful time and time and time again. The Daily Beast. Gabbard swipes at Obama's response to her MAGA conspiracy. All right. The National Intelligence Director has accused the former president of a, quote, treasonous conspiracy, end quote, over its findings on Russian election interference. So Obama may be curiously quiet, right? Skedaddling off to some beach somewhere at his mansion, one of his newly purchased mansions, with his family, and hunkering down away from the limelight of the press. His lawyers no doubt telling him, just go away, take a vacation till all this blows over, right? So the media is picking up, and the media is doing its due love Obama diligence by covering up anything that might smear this most transparent president ever, right? Remember, I'm going to be the most transparent president ever. Well, those walls seem to be crumbling. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, the Daily Beast writes, hit back at former President Barack Obama after he dismissed her claim that his administration cooked up intelligence on Russian election interference in a, quote, treasonous conspiracy, end quote, against President Donald Trump. On July 17th, still reading here, Gabbard released a report alleging that Obama and his top national security officials conspired to, quote, manipulate, end quote, intelligence to link Trump to Russia's meddling in the 2016 election, calling for him and other officials to be prosecuted. Through a spokesperson, Obama issued a rare response, dismissing her claims as, quote, a weak attempt at distraction, end quote, from the Jeffrey Epstein story. Well, I don't think Tulsi Gabbard is just fabricating these accusations out of thin air, unlike what Team Obama did with Russia collusion, right? Russia collusion, P-tapes and prostitutes and Russia collusion. Unlike that, I think she's just basing her remarks on the documents, the memos, the printed texts, the emails, and what have you that she has uncovered. Gabbard went on the offensive, the Daily Beast writes, and here's what she said. President Obama's very carefully worded response that came from his office again deflects away from addressing any of the truth that was revealed. They would have to admit and actually address the details of their complicity in this, or their absolute failure in conducting the most basic responsibilities of, again, asking, where is this intelligence coming from, right? So either they were on board with it overtly, or they were on board with it quietly, right? By not doing their due diligence. So on Fox and Friends over the weekend, let's hear from Tulsi as she explains a little bit more in detail what she found and why Team Obama seems to, scurry away right now. She starts by explaining some of the reactions she's had from putting this report out there, as well as some of the challenges that she's faced in getting this report to the public's eye, meaning mine and yours, right? My eyes and yours. Some of the challenges she's faced along that process. Here she is.
It's been interesting to see how the mainstream media has either refused to cover this story at all. The headlines or the lack thereof of newspapers, Washington Post, New York Times, and others in the days following this release have actually been quite deafening in their lack of coverage. And it's interesting to see how when they do cover this, they don't actually cover the revelations that these intelligence reports and the evidence that we released actually conveys to the American people. They simply talk about their criticisms of it or convey Democrat politicians' criticisms of it, but none of them actually dealing with the truth that has been revealed. And to me, there's two reasons for that. Number one is they don't want the American people to know the truth, but also they recognize the mainstream media's complicity in this, that they were fed early lines from this manufactured false intelligence assessment that President Obama ordered, that John Brennan and James Clapper created without any vetting, without any actual journalistic integrity of looking at what they were being fed. They received it and they printed it almost immediately. And then they went on to double down and triple down on this over the next several years.
And don't forget, this is all taxpayer use of money, right? Remember, all these people are tax paid. So this is what our high-ranking intel public servants of the people spent their tax-paid positions doing for so long. And I've been saying for a very long time that the left, the Democrats, the Marxists and socialists and communists that have corrupted and infiltrated and taken over the Democrat Party, they could not get by with all this beep, beep, you know what word I just said there, if the media did not bend over backwards to cover their tracks. And here's Tulsi Gabbard saying the exact same thing. But luckily for us, we have an administration that is determined to get the truth out there to the people, regardless of all the innuendos and accusations and outright lies that are being thrown their way, that this is all about distracting. This is all about distracting from Jeffrey Epstein. Because really, when you hear that, the number one question in your mind should be, yeah, well, where were you the last 4 years under Joe Biden? How come you weren't asking for a hefty investigation then? And now all of a sudden that President Trump is in office and he's going digging and his team is going digging for truths of the corrupt acts that the previous administration and the previous administration, Barack Obama, had conducted against President Trump, against Donald Trump, against MAGA, and against the American people. Now all of a sudden, Jeffrey Epstein is so important. So that's the number one question you should be asking. Number two question you should be asking is, what is going on in the media, right? The media has become as corrupted by Marxists as the Democrat Party. And again, thankfully, we have a White House administration that is determined to get to the truth. And thankfully, I have a guest with me today who has pretty much spent his years and years of public service, both in the military and in government, doing just that as well, digging deep to reveal uncomfortable truths the left would rather have hidden. He is a national policy expert. He is the author of 2, or maybe even more, but 2 that I know of, great books that you have to get. They're eye-opening. He'll give you the title later on and how to find them. And he is also a well-known and well-respected media figure. John Mills, I want to thank you so much for being back on Bold and Blunt. It is so great to have you here.
Oh, Cheryl, thank you. It's great to be back. I appreciate it.
So I'm very excited to dig into some of the national security and foreign policy issues going on right now. Let's just kick off with the Obama team, because that's what's hot in the news right now. And it looks like it's going to be a hot topic for a while. Tulsi Gabbard is dropping some big time interesting documents about Team Obama. What strikes you as most significant?
Well, I was a material witness to a number of these events that are now being brought out. I actually wrote about them in my 2022 book, The Nation Will Follow, on pages 74 and 75. I was 2 days after the election in 2016. I was called up by a senior career personnel, not an Obama political, a career personnel, who said, John, we're forming an interagency team to write the intel community assessment to finalize the Russia narrative with Trump and to potentially delay or block the inauguration. This is like, you got to be kidding me. This is insanity. So we spun up, we did the intel community assessment in November and December of 2016. And what happens in this process, I've been part of a number of intel community and assessments and national intelligence estimates. The product comes back to the departments and agencies for the senior person to approve. So the work product that I had helped work on, it made no sense. There was no information on Russia Trump connection or Russia trying to get Trump elected. I did the package. My action memo said non-concur. I recommended non-concur to Ash Carter, the Secretary of Defense, who's now dead. Coincidence? I don't know. So but I was told, John, you can see staffing on the action. Ash Carter already signed because he was called personally by Comey and Brennan to get his signature. And Comey and Brennan were hands on keyboard writing the very thin, very shallow intel community assessment. So he's already signed it. I said, you got to be kidding me. There was nothing in the top secret documents. I mean, you can't classify, it's illegal to classify something as top secret, to be mischievous, to lie, to cover up something. And that's what was going on. There was nothing. I was going, okay, hey, you asked me to participate. I'm a sworn professional. I'll take where the facts lead us. What do we got? You read it, and it's like, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. And I was overruled, and I was told Comey and Brennan are personally hands on keyboard writing this very thin intel community assessment. You never get a director of Central Intelligence or a director of FBI personally typing the document on the keyboard. This made no sense. And all this went to the Durham investigation. We got one person in the Durham investigation. Everybody's totally ignored it. Charles McGonigal, who was the FBI Director of Counterintelligence. He's in prison right now. Why? Because he was the guy who started the whole Russia hoax in early 2016. He was getting paid by Russia to say it was Russia in the hoax, and he's the one who started the whole thing. The FBI Director of Counterintelligence for the New York Field Office, the largest FBI office. So this is now coming to truth. And Tulsi's really, I don't have the original documents. I retired. I'm gone. I'm not allowed to have them. But she's now revealing the official working documents, and the reality is, it was absolutely a hoax.
So help sift through some of these racier headlines and accusations that are out there, right? So President Trump is calling out Barack Obama for treason and suggesting that he's guilty of an attempted coup. Obama's spokespeople are saying that's ridiculous. Tulsi Gabbard is coming out and saying that documents she plans to release will show that there is a coup. So when you talk about things like this, a coup and treason, are these just, to gather headlines and clicks, or are there some real teeth to those charges, do you think?
This was the most treacherous conspiracy, RICO conspiracy, criminal conspiracy in American political history. I always divide up American history since World War II.
Criminal.
Possibly criminal. This was, Obama approved the intel community assessment. He approved it. Therefore, he owns this conspiracy. So I'm sorry, he does absolutely own this conspiracy. He was directing it. There were several figures, such as Eric Rosenbach, who was Ash Carter's chief of staff, Susan Rice, others. This was an absolute Comey and Brennan, very villainous characters, especially with John Brennan. They own this. I use the word treason lightly, but this has never been done before again. I was called 2 days after the election, has to work on the ICA to potentially delay or block the inauguration of Donald J. Trump in January 2017. Never been done before, attempted before in American history. This was a coup.
So what would it, and forgive if this sounds naive or repetitive, right? Because you're describing criminal behavior, but what would be the actual charges? For instance, if you wanted to charge Barack Obama with a crime here, what would be the actual crime that you would bring to court? Same with the other players in his administration.
Well, I think I don't have the 18 U.S. Code right in front of me, but of the 18 U.S. Code, I think it's 1,001 false statements by federal officials. Those are felonies to begin with.
Okay.
So this was absolute willful false statements by federal officials, which I pointed out to the Durham investigation several years ago. That's what's going on here. Those are pretty serious charges in themselves and are felonies. False statements by federal officials. But there's a number of other charges under 18 U.S. Code they would be subject to as we reveal, as Tulsi reveals the actual working documents. These are very serious 18 U.S. Code charges. Hey, this was willful. But, I mean, there's other things that are open up. The Obama team spent, 3 times the amount of money the Russians spent in 2016 to plant social media postings. The Obama team spent 3 times that amount to try to overthrow Netanyahu in the Israeli election during Obama's second term. I think that's pretty serious. We used U.S. aid money to throw the election in Brazil. Looks like U.S. aid money influenced the recent election in South Korea in June. We still had U.S. aid money that was part of the South Korean. So I think there's a whole lot of things that are going on here. But we're starting out false statements by federal officials. Absolutely. Very serious felony charges that can include long prison sentences.
And just last question here, John, and thank you so much for staying extra, because this is a great conversation and you're really breaking it down into layman's. Last question here. What do you see coming of Tulsi Gabbard's document drop and the ensuing investigations? Because so much happens on Capitol Hill where we get this big theatrical show, but nobody's held accountable. There's no jail time. There's nothing. What do you see coming of this?
Well, we got a FBI senior executive, Charles McGonigal, in prison right now. So something has happened already. There's also 5 criminal referrals from the Durham investigation on top of that. And so I would say, I think I know who 3 of the 5 people are. And I'd say we're going to do, I think we give people due process. There's something called due process. Everybody wants to shout treason and then meaning pictures of gallows and things like that. Hello. We still have something called due process. Sorry, guys, we gotta let the process run its course, and but we have to, I would say the most vulnerable is Brennan, and then Comey, and then Clapper. So you got to start with to make an example out of your worst, and then But I think this leads, just like all roads lead to China in all the conflicts going around the world right now. All roads lead to Obama in this story, this very treacherous, treasonous story. So if nothing else, the Obama team has already made a factual misstatement. He did approve the intel community assessment. Ergo, he did accept ownership of this lie.
Very interesting. Very interesting, especially coming from the Barack Obama administration, which we were told was the most transparent ever. So this will be interesting to watch. And John Mills, just tell people where they can get your latest book, and if you just want to tell a little bit about what it's about, that'd be great.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Well, my first book is The Nation Will Follow, which was me realizing I was in the middle of the coup against candidate and President Trump. fighting the Obama team and making then my statements to the Durham investigation. Second book, The Nation Will Follow, is about the establishment of the original mass surveillance system, which we set up legally and lawfully, and then was taken over by the Obama team, weaponized against the American citizen, essentially the foundation for all of the spying and the censorship against American citizens by big government and big tech. And then you can find me Colonel R.E.T. John, Colonel Rhett John 2 on X, and then Colonel R.E.T. John, Colonel Rhett John on Substack, Getter, and Truth.
And I follow your Substack. You put some excellent stuff up there. So I really appreciate you taking extra time to chat with me today. I appreciate all you do. And thanks for your service to the country as well. Thank you, John.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. And the books, you can get signed copies at Lindell My Store or just go to Amazon. Thank you so much, Cheryl. It's an honor.
Oh, signed copies. Great to know. All right, John. Thank you. And that's another Bold and Blunt. Remember, if you like Bold and Blunt, you may get Bold and Blunt at edify.app, at Real Life Network, at WashingtonTimes.com, and of course, wherever podcasts are available. And in addition to picking up John's books, check out my latest nonfiction, God-Given or Bust, Defeating Marxism and Saving America with Biblical Truths. Tune in next time. In the meanwhile, don't forget, stay blunt, stay bold.
This is your before and after story. Prepare for an incredible career in nursing. At Southeastern College, experience expert hands-on training. Learn real-world skills in our professional lab and simulated settings. And train for opportunities as a practical nurse, registered nurse, or career advancement with our RN to BSN program. At Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sac.edu to get started.